Hi everyone! Consistent, effective watering is really the key to growing a lot of veggies. However, in the wintertime, our garden's watering need changes, especially for containers. So today I'm going to share with you how to water your container garden in the wintertime. And this is going to include some tips, especially for you southern gardeners with mild winters. But as always, I'll throw in some tips for you northern gardeners as well. This video is sponsored by HoseLink. Stay tuned to the end because I'll share with you how to enter their biggest giveaway ever. Some fantastic prizes here. You definitely don't want to miss it. Now, the key to watering containers in the winter is don't overwater. It's a lot cooler in the winter time. We have a lot less sunlight. A lot of times I turn off my drip irrigation in the winter and just hand water a lot of my containers so I don't overwater, because overwatering can kill your plants just like underwatering. So you want to make sure that you check your containers a few times a week to see if they actually need water and only water them when they need it. So what I do for this is I use my finger as a moisture meter. So we're going to check a little shorty here. This is where we planted some broccoli a few weeks ago. Don't they look good, you guys? The seedlings are growing beautifully, and the exciting thing is this broccoli seeds we planted are popping through the soil right here. So we definitely want to make sure that we don't let them dry out. So I've got my finger here. I'm going to stick it in my container as far as I can get it there. If it feels cool and wet like it does right now, that probably means that the soil is nice and moist. And here you go, nice dark soil, good amount of water content. But if I pull the soil up and it's dry and it looks like it needs watering, then I'll grab my hose and water my container just a little bit, not too much. We don't want to soak it. We just want it nice and moist so the plants can grow beautifully. Now, let me show you another little tip for quickly and effectively watering your containers. Let's go. One thing I found that with watering containers is if watering is easy and fun, I'm a lot more apt to water consistently. And that my HoseLink retractable hose definitely makes it easy. Just pulls right out, right to where my containers are. And little tip for watering your smaller size containers is just put them in a storage bin. Then you can water from the bottom, it soaks up, and you'll be able to water less often because of that. Now, the HoseLink has this handy dandy little switch here that you can just move up to turn off the water flow. And then these connectors, I can just disconnect my nozzle here and fill up my bin with water. You can water like a regular hose instead of with a nozzle. One thing I really like is that this lever controls the flow of the hose. So you can really control the amount of water that you're putting in. So what you want to do at this point is let your container sit in the bin for about a half an hour till it wicks the water up from the bottom. The top of the soil is a nice light brown color. And the other little clue is when you pick up your container, it should be a lot heavier, indicating that there's a lot of moisture content in the soil. So this way the soil gets fully saturated. You don't have to hand water it every couple of days. You can go a lot longer in between your watering sessions. Little pull on the hose and it retracts for nice, neat and tidy storage of your hose. Here I am on my little kitchen garden on my deck right outside my back door. I get a lot of questions. How do I water on a deck or patio, especially when I live in an apartment and I don't want water dripping down to my neighbors? Well, it's really easy. The first thing you want to do is try and make sure that you have something underneath your containers. The smaller ones, it's a lot easier. I've got this 14-inch drip tray underneath this 5-gallon pot. With the larger ones, it's a bit more difficult, but you can spread a tarp or a piece of plastic underneath to catch the excess water. But really the key is don't overwater. So what I'm going to do is just show you how to do that. I'll grab my HoseLink, and the flow control nozzle makes it really easy to water just the amount that you want, because you can control the flow of the water coming out of the nozzle. So I'll just gently turn it on and water just until the water drips out the bottom of the container. No more, no less, so you don't have a lot of water leaking on your deck or onto your neighbor's balcony below. So for the larger container, it's the same principle. You can see this is pretty dry here, so I'm going to check my container with a finger test. It's a little bit moist, but the top's looking a little bit dry. And I don't want to drown out these small seedlings here. So that's again where you want to water very gently. The flow control nozzle really comes in handy for that. And don't overwater, especially in the cold weather. You don't want to drown your plants in water. If it gets cold at night, It might be just a little bit chilly. So watering just enough so my container gets moist but not waterlogged. For you southern gardeners who get little to no frost in the wintertime, you definitely want to be watering your plants during the winter with the methods I just mentioned. However, you northern gardeners who are getting freezes, your plants still do need some water, especially your perennials that you want to keep alive over the winter. Here we've got some lavender and some strawberries. So you do want to pick a day when it's above freezing, above 40 degrees is best. Water in midday when it's sunny, and you might need to do this a couple of times a week because you definitely don't want your plants dying over the winter. And again, you don't want to totally saturate the soil, but you just want to moisten it down. You want to make sure that your soil is thawed out and not completely frozen. Moisten it down so the roots stay nice and moist. Let it soak in, and then water a little bit more. You northern gardeners will not only want to water your perennial herbs and strawberries, but also your plants that you might be overwintering in containers, such as peppers and eggplant. Just enough water to keep them moist. Now keep in mind, when it's really cold outside, you're not going to see a lot of growth from your plants, but you'll probably want to water them a couple of times a month. Now for the fun part, HoseLink's biggest giveaway ever. They're giving away $500 cash, a $600 prize package, which includes a HoseLink retractable hose and solar lights. Head over to hoselink.com to enter. The entry deadline is Wednesday, November 16th. 3 lucky winners will be chosen on November 17th. Thank you so much, HoseLink, for sponsoring this video. Comment below if you use HoseLink or how you'd like to water your containers in the winter. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.